I have a way to make depression go away almost immediately. And so far, it has worked every single time. I'm a psychiatrist. The problem is that I can't get people to do it. I mean, I can, but when I do have a problem with it, it's not that the technique doesn't work. It's just that people are like, that's too weird. I won't do it. But if I can get them to do it, even though it's weird, it has worked every time that I've done it. And I know that's a big claim, and I feel like that we need to do a study on this or something, but I'm just going to share it with you and then see if it works. This is like instantaneous relief of depression. I'm going to have to explain it a little bit first, otherwise you're going to think I'm crazy, and it's not going to make any sense. So if I explain it first, and then I'll show you what the technique is. So to begin with, when people are depressed or they are anxious, they're trying to feel happy, right? They're trying to go from a state of depression to a state of happiness, and they're like, I can't do it. It's too hard. It doesn't work. And I'd say stop trying to do that. That's impossible. That's like you've got a ladder and you're trying to go from the bottom rung of the ladder all the way to the top rung of the ladder in one step, and it's impossible. There's two steps to get from depression or anxiety to happiness, and I'm going to explain to you what they are and how to do this. And like I said, every time someone's done this, it has worked every single time. I call this the totem pole of emotion. All right, so you've seen totem poles. This is just a visualization, but you know there's this pole, and there's these different figures at each step on the totem pole. And the step on the totem pole, at the very, very bottom of the totem pole, the first rung of the ladder, is depression. That's as low as it gets. This is like sadness, feeling down, depressed, awful. Everything's down. You're looking down, your face is down, shoulders are down, everything's sagging, and your voice is down, and your thoughts are down, and everything is this direction, right? So that is as low as it gets. That's the bottom of the totem pole. Now, if you want to go one up from depression, it's an anxious state. So this is still a terrible state to exist in, but it is a state in which at least there's some form of self-preservation, and everything is kind of in. You're like tightening everything, and your arms are in, and your shoulders are up high and kind of tucked into everything, and you are thinking really anxiety-provoking thoughts. You know, something's going to go wrong, something bad's going to happen. You know, you're entertaining really anxiety-provoking thoughts. So that's the second part of the totem pole. The third step in the totem pole is the important one. This is the next step that people skip, and this is where everything happens, where the magic happens. Let's say someone was really depressed, and suddenly I opened up the door in front of them, and a giant bear came into the room and was growling at them. They probably wouldn't be depressed anymore. They would probably be afraid. They would go immediately to fear. They would jump from depression to fear, most likely. Or let's say I lit them on fire or something like that. You know, they'd immediately go into this anxiety state. Now, if I was like, okay, be happy now, think happy thoughts. Yeah, right. That can't happen. You can't go from depressed to anxious to happy. That doesn't make any sense. You need the next phase in between the two. And it turns out that humans have actually known how to do this for thousands and thousands of years. When a giant army of people were gathering up on the line, and all of them had their armor on, and their swords and their spears and their shields and their bows and arrows and everything, they'd be so terrified they'd be crapping their pants and throwing up and maybe crying. And you can't go into battle like that. You will lose if you go into battle in this kind of state. And so in order to cope with this and deal with getting past the depression and the anxiety and all those terrible feelings, they would they would do something. They would change their physiology. And I call this the third totem. It's the one above anxiety, and it's power. You could call it anger or rage or something like that too if you wanted to, but it's power is what it is. You're going from I'm gonna run away from this bear to I'm gonna freaking kill this bear. And in order to get into that, you have to change the situation a little bit. Now imagine you are you're in your office and you hear some crying or shouting, and you come out and someone that you love is tied up, and a big scary dog is biting them or something like that. You are going to, if you love this person or if the little child or something, you are going to get angry. You're going to resume power. You're going to shout. Your chest is going to, you're going to stick your chest out and you're going to growl, rah! And you're going to throw your arms above your head and you're going to shout. You might beat your chest and attack the dog and try to kick it or something. You're going to demonstrate the totem of power. And this will immediately take you out of the depressed or anxious state that you're in. And you are going to now feel powerful. Now, going from depression or anxiety to happy is really, really difficult. But going from power to peace, and then from peace to happiness, is way, way more doable. So the third totem was power. Now you go, after you've overcome, you're no longer depressed, you're no longer anxious in this moment. You're screaming and beating your chest and your arms are out and you're saying something really powerful, something that makes you, maybe it's a war chant. They used to do this, hundreds of years ago. They're going into battle and they're all singing a song or they're shouting something, for our kingdom, for our families, something like this. They're experiencing power. And now that they're feeling power, they're not feeling depressed and anxious anymore. This was the important step in between. This is how you got out of this is how thousands of years ago, the soldiers, the warriors, got out of the depression, out of the anxiety, is they shouted and hit their chest. Now, this is why people aren't willing to do this, is because that feels really silly to do. But I've gotten patients to do it, and when they do it, every time they've done it, if they're willing to do it, they're not depressed anymore in that moment that they're doing that, because the human brain can only feel one thing at a time. It can only focus on one thing at a time, I should say. And so it goes from focusing on the depressed thoughts to they're visualizing protecting someone they love, and they're shouting and they're feeling power. They're focusing on this, and they have some sort of mantra that they repeat. Each totem can have its own mantra. And there's a depressed mantra, there's an anxious mantra, there is a power mantra, and then there's a peace mantra. And if you're going to go into peace, peace is looking forward, and it is 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out breathing. The power breathing is rapid, breathing like you're oxygenating yourself, you're getting ready for battle. But the peace breathing is a slow breathing, slowly breathing out. And as you do it, you're thinking peaceful thoughts. I'm thankful for this. I accept myself for who I am. I love myself. I'm at peace. I choose to be peaceful. And you just maintain this state of being. It's so much easier to get into after you've gone to power. And then from peaceful, it's not that much more of a step to go to joy. And what is joy? Well, joy is the opposite of depressed. Depressed, everything was down. Joy's up. Your voice is up, and your smile is up, and your eyes are up, and your hands are up. You go, yes, yeah, yoo-hoo, yeah. You do that, and you can do that when you're peaceful, but it's really hard to do that when you're depressed or anxious. So this is ridiculously silly. It's really bizarre, but every time somebody's done it, their depression goes away, just like that. Their anxiety goes away. Now, of course, they could go right back into it again. But if they do, I say, well, do it again. Go back to power totem. And eventually, they get control. Give it a try.